tiny ball. Embracing her knees with her hands and resting her chin upon them, she stared doggedly at the river with wide-open eyes. On the pale patch of her face they seemed immense because of the blue marks below them. She never moved, and this immobility and silence, I felt it, gradually produced within me a terror of my neighbor. I wanted to talk to her, but I knew not how to begin. It was she herself who spoke. "What a cursed thing life is!" she exclaimed plainly, abstractly, and in a tone of deep conviction. But this was no complaint. In these words there was too much of indifference for a complaint. This simple soul thought according to her understanding, thought and proceeded to form a certain conclusion which she expressed aloud, and which I could not confute for fear of contradicting myself. Therefore I was silent, and she, as if she had not noticed me, continued to sit there immovable. "Even if we croaked, what then?" Natasha began again, this time quietly and reflectively, and still there was not one note of complaint in her words. It was plain that this person, in the course of her reflections on life, was regarding her own case, and had arrived at the conviction that in order to preserve herself from the mockeries of life, she was not in a position to do anything else but simply croak, to use her own expression. The clearness of this line of thought was inexpressibly sad and painful to me, and I felt that if I kept silence any longer I was really bound to weep, and it would have been shameful to have done this before a woman, especially as she was not weeping herself. I resolved to speak to her. "Who was it that knocked you about?" I asked. For the moment I could not think of anything more sensible or more delicate. "Pashka did it all," she answered in a dull and level tone. "And who is he?" "My lover. He was a baker." "Did he beat you often?" "Whenever he was drunk, he beat me, often." And suddenly, turning towards me, she began to talk about herself, Pashka, and their mutual relations. He was a baker with red moustaches, and played very well on the banjo. He came to see her and greatly pleased her, for he was a merry chap and wore nice clean clothes. He had a vest which cost 15 roubles and boots with dress tops. For these reasons she had fallen in love with him, and he became her creditor. And when he became her creditor, he made it his business to take away from her the money which her other friends gave to her for bonbons, and, getting drunk on this money, he would fall to beating her. But that would have been nothing if he hadn't also begun to run after other girls before her very eyes. "Now wasn't that an insult? I am not worse than the others. Of course that meant that he was laughing at me, the blackguard. The day before yesterday I asked leave of my mistress to go out for a bit, went to him, and there I found Dimka sitting beside him drunk. And he too was half seas over. I said, 'You scoundrel, you!' And he gave me a thorough hiding. He kicked me and dragged me by the hair. But that was nothing to what came after. He spoiled everything I had on, left me just as I am now. How could I appear before my mistress? He spoiled everything, my dress and my jacket too. It was quite a new one. I gave a 5 for it, and tore my kerchief from my hand. Oh, Lord, what will become of me now?" she suddenly whined in a lamentable, overstrained voice. The wind howled, and became ever colder and more boisterous. Again my teeth began to dance up and down, and she, huddled up to avoid the cold, pressed as closely to me as she could, so that I could see the gleam of her eyes through the darkness. "What wretches all you men are! I'd burn you all in an oven. I'd cut you in pieces. If any one of you was dying, I'd spit in his mouth, and not pity him a bit. Mean skunks! You wheedle and wheedle, you wag your tails like cringing dogs, and we fools give ourselves up to you, and it's all up with us. Immediately you trample us under foot. Miserable loafers!" She cursed us up and down, but there was no vigour, no malice, no hatred of these miserable loafers in her cursing that I could hear. The tone of her language by no means corresponded with its subject matter, for it was calm enough, and the gamut of her voice was terribly poor. Yet all this made a stronger impression on me than the most eloquent and convincing pessimistic books and speeches, of which I had read a good many and which I still read to this day. And this, you see, was because the agony of a dying person is much more natural and violent than the most minute and picturesque descriptions of death. I felt really wretched, more from cold than from the words of my neighbour. I groaned softly and ground my teeth. Almost at the same moment I felt two little arms about me. One of them touched my neck, and the other lay upon my face, and at the same time an anxious, gentle, friendly voice uttered the question, "What ails you?" I was ready to believe that someone else was asking me this, and not Natasha, who had just declared that all men were scoundrels, and expressed a wish for their destruction. But she it was, and now she began speaking quickly, hurriedly. "What ails you, eh? Are you cold? Are you frozen? Ah, what a one you are, sitting there so silent like a little owl! Why, you should have told me long ago that you were cold. Come, lie on the ground. Stretch yourself out, and I will lie there. How's that? Now put your arms round me. Tighter. How's that? You shall be warm very soon now, and then we'll lie back to back. The night will pass so quickly, see if it won't. I say, have you two been drinking? Turned out of your place, eh? It doesn't matter." And she comforted me. She encouraged me. May I be thrice accursed! What a world of irony was in this single fact for me! Just imagine. Here was I, seriously occupied at this very time with the destiny of humanity, thinking of the reorganization of the social system, of political revolutions, reading all sorts of devilishly wise books whose abysmal profundity was certainly unfathomable by their very authors, at this very time. I say, I was trying with all my might to make of myself a potent active social force. It even seemed to me that I had partially accomplished my object. Anyhow, at this time, in my ideas about myself, I had got so far as to recognize that I had an exclusive right to exist, that I had the necessary greatness to deserve to live my life, and that I was fully competent to play a great historical part therein. And a woman was now worming me with her body, a wretched, battered, hunted creature, who had no place and no value in life, and whom I had never thought of helping till she helped me herself, and whom I really would not have known how to help in any way, even if the thought of it had occurred to me. Ah, I was ready to think that this was all happening to me in a dream, in a disagreeable, an oppressive dream. But ugh! It was impossible for me to think that, for cold drops of rain were dripping down upon me, the woman was pressing close to me, her warm breath was fanning my face, and, despite a slight odor of vodka, it did me good. The wind howled and raged, the rain smote upon the skiff, the waves splashed, and both of us, embracing each other convulsively, nevertheless shivered with cold. All this was only too real, and I am certain that nobody ever dreamed such an oppressive and horrid dream as that reality. But Natasha was talking all the time of something or other, talking kindly and sympathetically, as only women can talk. Beneath the influence of her voice and kindly words, a little fire began to burn up within me, and something inside my heart thawed in consequence. Then tears poured from my eyes like a hailstorm, washing away from my heart much that was evil, much that was stupid, much sorrow and dirt which had fastened upon it before that night. Natasha comforted me. "Come, come, that will do, little one. Don't take on. That'll do. God will give you another chance. You will right yourself and stand in your proper place again, and it will be all right." And she kept kissing me. Many kisses did she give me, burning kisses, and all for nothing. Those were the first kisses from a woman that had ever been bestowed upon me, and they were the best kisses, too, for all the subsequent kisses cost me frightfully dear, and really gave me nothing at all in exchange. "Come, don't take on so, funny one. I'll manage for you tomorrow if you cannot find a place." Her quiet, pervasive whispering sounded in my ears as if it came through a dream. There we lay till dawn. And when the dawn came we crept from behind the skiff and went into the town. Then we took friendly leave of each other and never met again, although for half a year I searched in every hole and corner for that kind Natasha, with whom I spent the autumn night just described. If she be already dead, and well for her if it were so, may she rest in peace, and if she be alive, still I say, peace to her soul, and may the consciousness of her fall never enter her soul, for that would be a superfluous and fruitless suffering, if life is to be lived. The End of One Autumn Night by Maxim Gorky. Recording by Mark Penfold. Lincoln, Nebraska.